there's a lot of things that people don't understand about e-commerce that probably come as a rude shock. The unit economics, the lack of financial knowledge is the main reason that e-commerce businesses fail. And that's a shame because some of them fail with really good products or really good brands and they just don't get it. And they should have taken the time to learn because if I can learn, anyone can. And yeah, there's a lot. I mean, also just the fact that e-commerce is not just opening up a shop and putting products on. It's a serious business. It's as serious as any business out there. And it's hard. It's hard. But if you're prepared to do the hard work, there are still success stories out there that, you know, started with $1 and sold for 30 million. I come across them all the time. But the common theme with those people is they're generally good in the numbers. That's a really strong theme for me. The founders that I talk to had big exits or they're turning over big money but big profit. Generally, they're either really good in the numbers or their partner is, or they've got someone in who is really, really solid in the numbers. The numbers drives everything in e-commerce. Absolutely. One of my bugbears is like when an agency, and I've got an agency, so I'm speaking with agency hat on here. Ecom Nation is the agency, by the way. Those agencies that say, yeah, I can give you a better ROAS. And they haven't looked at your margins, they haven't looked at your ops, they haven't looked at anything else, and it's like, no, you can't. And I see it. Like I work with clients who are using an agency and getting a Facebook return on ad spend of 10 times. That same agency for another client will be getting 1.4 times using the same strategy. So agencies have to realize it's not all about you. It's the product that's driving. You know, honestly, if you've got a red hot product and red hot branding and creative, any mug can get you a good ROAS. And I say that as somebody from an agency that has an agency. So it's product and brand and all the things that you do, not all the things your agency does.
And so now we kind of fast forward, and I want to go to the point. Let's say the planning's been done, we've put in the work, we've got the unit economics right. You know, we've got the 50-30-20 rule. We've nailed it. We've found product market fit a little bit, and we're 1 year in. You know, maybe let's say 1 to 2 years in. What's next?
Scale. So let's say that we're achieving. So success for me 1 year in, honestly, is that you're achieving your 50-30-20 or close enough. I don't mind if that becomes, 50-35-15. That's fine. Like, if it's growing, you can even go a little bit less on the profit. As long as you're in control of that and you're choosing those ratios and you're in control of them, that's fine. You can adjust those ratios.
But the gross is a non-negotiable?
Gross is a non-negotiable, yeah. You can change your ratios on how much you spend. And, look, I'm going to go a bit harder on my marketing. I'm going to spend 20%, but I'm going pretty well, so I'm happy, therefore, to make 15% profit instead of 20%, but it's 15% of a larger pie, but I'm in control. I've made that decision consciously. So if we're hitting those numbers, and then the other big test that I put to all businesses is, do you have a financial model, like month to month, this is my P&L, this is how it should look, and have you proven that for 3 months in a row, and it's within 5% accuracy, and within 5% accuracy on sales and expenses? They're the two big 12-month ticks that I'm looking for before making the decision to scale.
And so when you talk that's your money models, right? That's your percentage of revenues, and you're going, okay, I mean 50-30-20, but I'm sure there's even some even deeper details there within your op and your marketing and so on. But so you're saying that you need to be able to test yourself against those numbers and prove that you can actually hit them and have the discipline to do so.
Yeah, you can't scale without that, because like what I do in my job is people come along and they say, how do I grow? And I'll look at those numbers and I'll say, you can't grow, or you're hitting 50-30-20 or whatever it might be. You're hitting the metrics that I think are suitable. Now we're gonna put your model under the stress test. So what I'll do is I'll build them a model that ramps up, using using sort of key principles around 9% of wages, 3% on merchant fees. I'll build that model out for them, and then I'll make some assumptions like sell-through rates on inventory, ROAS, like overall marketing efficiency ratio, which is how much money do I need to spend on marketing. In other words, if I spend $1, do I make $5? Cool. I'm going to put that under the stress test next month and go a little bit higher. Oh, you know what? We proved it again. We made $300,000 this month, and we spent 25 on marketing. So whatever, we spent our 20% on marketing. So I'm trying to stress test that model upwards until it breaks. But I don't wait till the end of the month to see that it's broken and be like, oh, whoops, we lost a lot of money. So I build a model that monitors that every single day. So how often do I look at my numbers? Every single day in detail. And if it's going well and I'm getting a better return on investment, and in other words, I'm more profitable this week than my budget allows for, yeah, go for it. I dial it up. I've had a great time doing that. You crank it up. There's no going wrong. You crank it up until it breaks. And it's just knowing where the break point is. Oops, my marketing's gone over. Stop there, stop. But if you're setting that up daily and monitoring daily, you can dial it up and down as needed. That's the beauty of e-commerce. It's scalable, and you can also pull it back quickly.
Yeah, I love it. And so when you're dialing up the marketing spend, that's obviously literally the first cog in the process. So
yeah,
you'll see, okay, if I'm putting $1 in and I used to get 5, but when I put it up, now I'm only getting 4.
Yeah.
That changes your 50, 30, 20.
Yeah, and that's where I'll pull it back to keep true to my 50, 30, 20. I don't want the revenue. I want to pull back to my 50, 30, 20. But it's also, ensuring that, all right, we're going to dial up our marketing spend. My next question is, what are you doing? What are you doing to support that with your product? Well, that's cool because we've got our new range. It drops on Tuesday, and we usually do an extra 30% of revenue on Thursday. And then I've got an email going out to lost customers on Friday. And then on socials, we're doing a partnership. So I'm not just here saying, oh, great, like dial up Facebook, off we go. And all the other departments in the business need to be pulling towards sales as much as the marketing department. And going back to that idea, product drives everything. So if we sat down and we were like, this month we're going to go for it. And I'll say, yeah, cool. What's happening this month? Nothing. Well,
we're just going to increase spend by 20%.
That's risky. It might work for a little while, but it's once again, it's product and brand and activations and cool stuff. Brand interest drives everything. As a great example, Budgie Smuggler, right? Interesting brand. Those guys are cool. They get it. They're doing stuff with NRL, AFL, heaps of interesting stuff. And so there's always activity that then the marketing team can go, bang, I'm with you, and you go together, not in isolation.
Almost like generating, you kind of mentioned organic and how important that is, but like generating that organic attention that can then help your paid kind of really get the, it kind of, you're right, you do need to support, with kind of activations and get the team on board, definitely.
The organic's a good point because you come across businesses that want to ramp up their spend and they hammer the agency. Oh, our ROAS is crap. And then I always give them a little test. Go and check your organic branded searches. Go and check your social media followers. Are they up or down? Oh, they're down. Your paid media will be down too. All ships rise with the tide. Absolutely. You're rarely going to see, for instance, like your socials followings down, your organic branded searches in Google are trending down, you're losing email subscribers, but your ROAS is it's a bigger problem. But honestly, a lot of brands don't want to face that problem.
Yeah. And so what does that support look like? Because that's a good question. Like that would be my question, personally. I understand kind of the crux of what you're saying, but like what catches people out, if they are just kind of in that stress test? Like what are some of the things that come up in those stress tests that you do?
Yeah, I think marketing is the big one. Just again, too many people want to just say, I've lost count of the amount of times where clients, we get their ratios under control. We got them spending 15% on marketing and they're pumping out a 20% profit. And, particularly in turnarounds where they've been losing money and then they're profitable and they go, oh, can we spend 25%, this month on marketing? I'm like, yeah, you'll be negative though. You'll take 5% off your profit. It's going back to those old habits. People want to spend their way out of trouble. Whereas I would rather take that money and put it into good product, to put it into R&D, research and development, and do that sort of stuff. So it probably also looking at sales. Paid media, as my friend Mal Chia will say, paid media is not a strategy. Every department needs a seat at that strategic growth table, and nothing wrong with sitting down once a month, once a week, round the table. Right, customer service. What are you doing this week for us to hit our target? Product. What are you doing this week for us to hit our target? Creative. What do you do? I love that because even operations. Oh yeah, we're launching same day delivery or free returns, or we're going to try free delivery. Every department impacts growth. And under that stress test, again, it's just discipline. And you know, take a leaf out of an athlete's book. It's routine and discipline. If I say spend 9% on wages, there's no ifs or buts. Spend 9% on wages. So if I build those parameters for a business, as a business owner, stay within them. Don't break it. As I say, trust the process. Act with discipline. Be in your numbers. Don't come halfway through the month and not know as a percentage of revenue how much you've actually spent on your marketing. Get in your numbers every single day and act with discipline. Discipline in e-commerce or any business is so important, you know.
Yeah, or otherwise you're driving blind, right?
Yeah, that's a good.
And you might have success, but you don't know why, and more importantly, it's easy to drive off the road.
Yeah, and I can tell you, if you ever go and sell that business, or you got private equity coming, you'll have no answers for them. You know, then they'll be asking all those questions, and you'll get found out at some point.
Read the book. I mean, look, if this conversation, just what we've just had, Dan, I love it. That's the stuff that I've spent a lot of time in service trying to understand, and it's very different, but. You know, that is what we just talked about then is business, in my opinion. You know, it's that kind of explains what you need to do. I just want to kind of shift a little bit now and go more into the state of e-commerce right now. You know, so in your words, what's happening in e-commerce and what's the state?
Well,
currently?
There's a bit of a, you know, so we've had a great couple of years, you know, with the lockdowns and so on, and we accelerated in e-commerce rapidly. Essentially, it's just come back to where it was pre-pandemic, and where it was pre-pandemic was great. We were having a good time. The issue we will have a lot of retailers go under this year, for sure, because a lot of bad practices were picked up over the last 2 years. So over the last 2 years in e-commerce, any mug could make money. You know, let's be honest, it wasn't hard. It's harder now, and again, yeah, going back to that. There was a lot of active shoppers over the last 2 years. Now it's come back a little bit. It's a little bit hard to get customers. So the businesses that, you know, were set up maybe during that fun time, maybe don't know what it's like to actually go back and, you know, have to do things a little harder and find other ways to grow. And they're the ones that will get found out. And a good example of that is the retailer that said our business grew 100% last year, but we weren't 100% better business. And that's a great way to sum it up. You know, businesses grew that otherwise wouldn't or shouldn't. So I think I feel comfortable about where we are because I've been around for a long time, and I'm happy with the direction it's heading in. 20% of total retail. Yep, it'll go up next year. It'll go up the year after. But I do think there'll be a few businesses that are in a bit of trouble, that aren't in control of their growth and their numbers and their value proposition. So I reckon, unfortunately, we'll see a few fall off over the next 12 to 18 months.